Welcome back to Louisiana Newsmaker. I've been wondering, what are the trends in real estate in the metro area? And I thought one of the people that I ought to talk to is Jefferson Parish Assessor Lawrence Chehardy. Not only is Jefferson the economic engine of the region, but also he's a particularly astute judge of these matters, and we always value his opinion. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Great to see you.
Having me back.
Before we get to what I had wanted to talk to you about, I should note, at least in passing, that the Times-Picayune and the Chehardy family have been at odds for about 60 years. And recently, they ran a story attacking your assessorial way of evaluating property, and then the story just disappeared. No James Gill column castigating you, no cartoon showing you with a whip, and I think they had a boo-boo.
They did have a boo-boo. The story that you're referring to was several weeks ago, and basically what they did was they attempted to compare the values, assessed values on the tax rolls with current property values. And the way they did that is they went out and they drove past homes and said, oops, we're in front of this house. They did what's called the front door appraisal or drive-by appraisal. And they said, okay, we're looking at the outside of this house. It looks like it's worth $150,000. Then they went to another house, and they said, oh, this one looks like it's worth $200,000.
And then they went back to your rolls, and you had it assessed at $120,000.
Some other number, some other number. And the problem is, number one, that method of appraisal is so bogus. It's almost one of those things where if you try to explain why it's so bogus, you're lost for words.
But I think the average person can understand that you cannot appraise the value of my house, your house, their house from the front door. Curb.
Well, yeah, I mean, you drive, oh, look how nice the front door is. This must be a $200,000 house. It's just bogus to do that. The method that they used was just outrageous. The methods that we use and assessors not only across the state and the country, but across the world use are mass appraisal techniques. Those are accepted methods of property appraisal. The method used by the Times-Picayune is not. And I had long discussions with the reporter, and he just didn't get it. He just did not get it. He did not understand. He did not get it.
Well, obviously his editors did not understand either.
No.
But something must have happened after they published the story that caused them to step back and say, whoops, we made a little mistake here. Let's pretend that it never happened.
And I believe that's exactly what happened. They realized afterwards the error of their ways and just the intellectual fallacy of what they did, and just ran away from it as quickly as they tried to do it. Just tried to say something negative. But interestingly enough, if you read the article, there were several of their so-called experts who actually said the Jefferson Parish Assessor's Office really wasn't doing a bad job. It was really doing a good job. My problem with what they did is that it just was not intellectually correct. It was just the wrong way to do it, reaching the wrong result, and reaching the wrong set of conclusions. And it's unfortunate that the Times-Picayune chose to do that, but they
I thought it was a continuation of the 60-year battle that began with your dad.
Sure.
And I guess we'll continue with your successor.
Oh, well, the Times-Picayune has had it in for the assessors for as long as anybody can remember. And they certainly are not going to go and print something positive. But at least if you're going to at least if you want to be critical, at least have something valid to criticize. And not basically pull numbers out the air, which again is what they did.
Well,
and I think the proof is what you said, which is I was expecting editorials, columns, those sorts of cartoons, who knows what, and it just died. So I believe.
But they did not say, we retract the story, that they just pretended it hadn't happened.
They pretended it didn't happen, and that's unfortunate because the real loser in all that is the reader. They create this false impression with the reader, and they really do a disservice to the community and to their subscribers and to the people who read that newspaper. And it'd be nice if they didn't do that, but as we all know, and you and I both know, they're perfectly capable of doing that and just then pretending like it didn't happen.
Now, as to what I invited you to come on the show to talk about, how are property values doing in Jefferson Parish? The recession is still on. We still have factors in our economy that are negative. Sales tax revenues are down. People are struggling. Many people are now holding 2 or 3 jobs in order to meet their obligations. How are real estate values doing in Jefferson?
Well, the real estate values are not in bad shape. What we have is a different kind of market. What we have is a market where the market we're used to, you put your house up for sale 30 or 60 days, you end up with a legitimate offer, one that you can negotiate over and sell your property. You have a situation now where the market really it just takes a long time to be able to sell that property.
180 or 250 days?
It might take a year to sell the property. What we are seeing is that the middle class and lower average price values are obviously moving much better than the upper priced homes. So if I
have a home that I can sell for, or that I think is worth $1.2 million, backs into the levee on the lakefront of Jefferson Parish.
It's going to take longer than the house that, let's say,
it was my starter house,
$150,000, $200,000 home, and so it's taken longer to sell, and we've experienced that now for quite some time. My opinion is that until the real estate market, specifically with homes, gets back to a place where homeowners are comfortable, in other words, that I can put my home up for sale and I can sell it within what I consider to be a reasonable period of time, the recovery is not going to be there. But interestingly, property is not being given away. You know, I'm not telling you that people are getting the top dollar that they would like to be able to get, but they're still getting good prices. And the last time I looked, the average value of a homestead exemption that we were filing in Jefferson Parish was up to $200,000. So it's not being given away, that's for sure. But the market is still not recovered, and I think we still have a ways to go before it is.
Are people who are selling their homes after having owned the home for 4 or 5 years still making a profit at the time that they sell it?
I believe if you've only owned it for 4 or 5 years, you're probably pretty close. If you lived there for 10, 12, or 15 years, you are making at least a modest profit on the sale of the property. You know, the last thing you want to do is lose money on the sale. Of course, the big thing to be concerned about is not that you lose money based on the sales price. It's you lose money because of a possible real estate commission that you might have to pay. You know, in today's world, if you told me I've been in my house 5 years, but for some reason I've got to move, you know, if you can sell your house, pay your real estate commission, and make a couple of bucks, and I do mean a couple, I don't mean mega bucks, but make a few dollars, you know, you're probably doing real well. So it's just not a good market, and you would say that it's a buyer's market, and it really isn't even a buyer's market. It's really a weak market. But again, the good news for us in this part of the country is that we are not in the same boat as a Florida, California, Nevada, Arizona, places like that, where you literally have homes and property that originally sold for, say, $400,000 or $500,000 that today are being auctioned off for $150,000, and the mortgage company is glad to just get that. We don't have that problem here, so that's good. But it's still not a recovered market.
As you look into your cloudy crystal ball,
very cloudy,
do you have the feeling that a couple of years will see us back to what for us is a more normal market?
I would say yes, that in the next few years I think we'll start to see some improvement. My big concern is on the national picture. With all the new taxes that are being talked about, income taxes going up in 2011, the possible tax increases with the health care changes that begin to kick in over the next several years, that's going to have an impact because people only have so much money that they can spend. And if the government starts taking that money away in the form of taxes, it reduces the amount of money that's available for many things, including the ability to afford a new home.
It's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. I'd like to invite you back in the near future because I'd like to talk about more real estate trends
Sure.
in Jefferson Parish.
Love
It's
to.
great to see you.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
That's Assessor Lawrence Chehardy of Jefferson Parish. As usual, his insights are really astute and worth considering. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.